as simple as possible. Again, we have houses open into a chutzner, open into a mavui. Good. Two houses, each one open into a larger chutzner, open into center mavui. We want to know, A, can I carry from the houses into this chutzner? From the houses into this chutzner. B, can I carry from the chatzeros into the mavui? In order to permit those two things, you need to make an eirov chatzeros, a shitov mivu'ais. What is that? It's called a bunch of challah rolls or one challah roll. You give a challah roll, you give a challah roll, you give a challah roll, you put the challah rolls in a bag. Now the three of you have a partnership. Now the three of you could carry from your houses into the chatzar. Shitov mivu'ais is the exact same thing. The different chatzeros partner together to be able to carry, and then we have a joint ownership in everything. The question is, where does the challah stay for Shabbos? That is what we're discussing. One simple detail. Says the Hilagi Gemara, "Vein ma'arvin by vein mishatvin by vein menichem by erev my time it'll chazila dira." So you can't put the erev into this area. Why not? Because it's not chazila dira. A house that's 4x4 or less is not fit to live in. Says the Gemara, "Eruv chatzeiros in manichem, but you're not allowed to place the erev chatzeiros inside this small 4x4 house." But what's the obvious diok that it's specifically Erev Chatzeiros? Avol Shitov, if it comes to the Shitov Mevu'ais, Manichem Bay. Now, why would it be any different? My taima, says the Gemara, Deloy Gorax, it's no less than Michatzer Shebamavi. What in the world Chatzar Shebamavi? So now we're about to prove that you could put it in the Chatzar of the Mavi. If you could place the challah roll in the Chatzar of the Mavi, you could place the challah roll in the small 4x4 house. When can you place the challah roll in the Chatzar of the Mavi? Only by Shitov Mivu'ais, not by Erev Chatzeros. Now, we're not really doing this justice because we're leaving a big question. What's the difference? I just told you the same thing. Why one can you put there, one you cannot? That part we are not dealing with right now. Ditinan. As we learned in the Mishnah is proving us that you can put the Shita Mivois in the Chatzar of the Mavoi. Eruve Chatzerois. Bechatzer. Shita Bimavoi. That's a brisa. Erev Chatzeros, you put in a Chatzar. Sheet of Mavo, you put in a Mavi. Vavinamba. And we wondered, Eruve Chatzeros bechatzer? Are you allowed to place an Erev Chatzeros in the Chatzar? Vehatinan. But we learned in a Mishnah, Hanoisein Eruvoi. If you place your Erev, Bebeis Shar, Achsadra, Umar Peset, a watchman's hut, this covered area, a porch, 3 not full areas, ain't no Erev, it doesn't work. V'hadar sham, and if you were to live there, ain't no Eiser, it's not considered you're part of the Chatzar to Aser everyone else. So ask the Gemara, why are you telling me that to put it in the Chatzar? Ela ima, we have to explain. Eruve Chatzeros, bibayis shebe Chatzar. What did the Brisa mean when it said, Eruve Chatzeros bechatzar, sheet of mavoi b'mavoi? You know what it meant? It meant Eruve Chatzeros you could put in the bias of the chatzar. Sheet of mevois bechatzar shebe mavoi. So what do we see? We see sheet of mevois. You're allowed to place where? In the chatzar of the mavoi. The high. What's high? Our little 4x4 house. Loi gara is not less than a chatzar in the mavoi. So we learned one simple din. Just like you're allowed to place your sheet of mivois in the chatzar of the mavoi, you can put it in a house that's 4x4.
Isn't there a minimum for a chatzar also? Isn't that 4x4 also?
So we're actually going to get there in the bottom of the amud. It could be, but this is a bias, so it's going to be enough. Meaning it's going to be two different things. You happen to be right that there's going to be a minimum for a chatzar for other dinim. But for this, all we're learning out is just like you could place it in the chatzar, you could place it in the small house. That's what we're learning. Beautiful. Next thing. Ve'ein is a picture of this in the book right now. Ve'ein oisin oisai iber bein shtei ayaros. So if you look at the picture, there's actually, I think, a very nice picture here. There's another book there. If you could just open that one up, please. If you look at, go back one page. Yeah. If you look at page 8, it says, Ein oisin iber bein shtei ayaros. If you look over here, what we have over here is we have houses. And it says 70 and 2/3 amos. What is 17 2/3 amos? Question is, where do you begin counting Tchum? Tchum is 2,000 amos outside of the city. That is the furthest you're allowed to walk. Nothing to do with carrying now, walking. In Muncie, for example, are we allowed to walk to Pomona? Could I walk to your house on Shabbos? It might take me an hour, but can I walk there? So I think we could, because I think either it's close enough and or, as every Jewish house extends. It starts from the last Jewish house in the city.
It all depends on the way you.
Which way you walk? Well, it's true.
Hold on, that's a question.
Sure.
Meaning, let's say you have this question. Let's say you have Jewish houses like this.
Oh, massive machlekes. Very good, very good, very good.
Do you have to walk?
Very
this
good,
way,
very good. As long as you, these are big, how do you measure? These are all big questions. But for us, what do we need to know? Question is, let's say the city ends over here. Now we have this little 4x4 house, 70 and 2/3 amos away. Is that enough to make it? It's called a muvla in the city. Now, what's 70 and 2/3 amos? The point is that if one city is within 70 and 2/3 amos of the other city, then the two cities are called one, and then the tchum for each starts on the edge of those cities. It's not that.
Maybe a question on 202. If you're going down 202, there's some places that have.
Yeah. I don't know. Could be. I don't know. My in-laws actually just are moving to Pomona. I have no clue what it's called. Right, like you make a right to go into the Palisades, you make a quick left in there, right there. So my mother actually asked me if she could walk.
The Palisades could be Rosh Hashanah.
Depends. Am I walk it to you? You walk it to me?
Yeah.
What?
Do you go under Rosh Hashanah?
Yeah. So no, walking. You go walking just around. The question is how far. As I said, this is you got to pull out a map, and it's someone I'm sure Muncie knows. We'll figure it out. But anyways, so says our Gemara, ve'ein oisin oisei iber bein she'ayaris. This little 4x4 house is not enough to create an iber. Iber from the word pregnancy is an iber, is a woman who is pregnant, is a mi'uberes. This city is not called an iber, not called the extension of the city. Da'afilu kiborganin lo'i mishavinu. It's not like a borganin. What's a borganin? A borganin are little watchman's huts. So this little 4x4 house is not like a borganin. Why not? A borganin, a little watchman's hut, how big is that? Sounds like that's probably even less than 4 amos. Again, 4 amos is approximately 6 feet by 6 feet. It's not so small, I don't know. It's about this big. It's not so terrible. How big is a watchman's booth? Quite smaller than that. So says the Gemara, this is not even the watchman's booth. Why not? Says the Gemara, a very important yesod, and this yesod actually applies in many, many halachas. My taima, because borganin is chazu, is fit, lemil sayu, for what it does. What do you mean for what it does? For a watchman's hut, if it's 4 feet by 4 feet, it suffices because you're a watchman. You're not living there. V'hai, but in our case, what are we talking about? We're talking about a bias. It's your whole house is 6 feet by 6 feet. V'hai loy chazi l'mil sayu. It's not fit for its purpose. That's why it's not going to extend this city. Just parenthetically, why is this so critically important? When it comes to mezuzah, this is a very big deal. If anyone here has a walk-in closet, you might have asked or you might have seen some people have mezuzahs on their walk-in closets. Now you might wonder, now that we just learned that the minimum size of a house, of a room is 4 amos by 4 amos, which is 6 feet by 6 feet, some walk-in closets are smaller than that. So why do you have a mezuzah? The answer is what we just said. Chazu limel sayu. For a closet, depends which woman you're asking, but for a closet, a 4 by 4 foot closet is fit for a closet. It might not be fit for a house, but for a closet it is. And therefore, says the Chamudi Daniel, brought down Pesach Tshuva and Mezuzah, so it's a chumrah that he paskins if you have a small room, which is smaller than the requisite size, but for its usage it does, then you put up a mezuzah. It's a chumrah. We paskin. It's a chumrah. Small walk-in pantries. This happens to any walk-in. It has to be a walk-in. Very important. But any walk-in area that's smaller than 4 by 4, that is the halacha. That is the halacha. So that just comes from. It's a similar concept to here. Let's continue. Ve'eina achem. Again, what are we talking about? We're in the middle of discussing this long and lengthy brayso that we started with in Amud Aleph. And what are the brayso discussing? This house that's less than 4 by 4 amos. Another halacha. Ve'eina achem, and brothers. V'ashotfim, and partners, cholkim boy, they do not divide this house. What does that mean? So we think what that means is let's say in the case of a Yerusha, an inheritance, or you're splitting up a business, this area is not part of that. What does that mean? Says the Gemara. Time, it sounds like the less Beit Dalet Amos, Dalet Amos, right? Let's say it is 4 Amos, then what's the halacha? Cholkin. It would sound like if a little house, then yes, you would divide that house as part of the estate. Asks the Gemara, V'hatinan, but we learned in a Mishnah. We're 10 lines from the bottom. The first one line is V'hatinan. Ein cholkin es ha-chatzir. We do not split up the chatzir until sheyehei ba. This is similar to what you were saying before, Rabbi Metalka, that the chatzir has arba amos lozeh, v'arba amos lozeh. Has to each person get 4 amos. And we just said, seemingly, once it's 4 amos in entirety, you would split it up. Answers the Gemara, Ela Ima, we have to say, Ein boy din chaluka b'chatzir. Doesn't have a din chaluka. What's a din chaluka? As we'll see right now. The Amar Rav Huna explains Rav Huna. Chatzir, a chatzir. How do you divide up a chatzir? Says Rav Huna, lefi pischeha, according to its psachim, its openings, mitchalekes, you split it up. We'll explain what that means in one moment. For Rav Chisda Amar, he argues, noisein l'chol pesach u'pesach dalet amos. Each doorway gets 4 amos. V'hashar, and the rest of the courtyard cholkin oisai b'shaveh. So says the Gemara, but that is only hanimili bayis, a house. Till meheve kai yavinu lechatzer. Before we're running a job fast. Yeah. What's that? Before the hanimili, 1 second. Everyone look at the picture book, please. They did a beautiful job over here. Look at page number 10. Picture number Chav Ches. Says Rav Huna, you look over here, you see a house, and you see 3 small little houses. Let's say those 3 smaller houses, as you see, there's 3 openings. So each opening gets its own area in the chatzir. And then there's a big house that's considered an opening. It doesn't make a difference, says Rav Huna, how big your house is. It has to do with your opening into the chatzir. So if there's 4 openings into the chatzir, then it will just depend how many brothers you have, etc. But each opening gets its portion in the chatzir. Look at the contrast. It'll make it easier to understand. Look at the next picture. Rav Chisda says no. As you see in front of each opening, you see a little square. That square is showing you that each opening gets dalet amos. And then, the rest of this massive chatzir, what do we do with it? We split it up equally. And of course, the difference here is going to be in how many brothers you have. Again, very simply, if I have 4 areas, let's say I have 1 door and you have 3 doors. So according to the first opinion, you're going to get 3/4 of the court. You're not only going to get 1/4. According to Rav Chisda, that's not going to be true. You're going to get 3 4x4 areas in front of those doors. I'm going to get 1 4x4 area, but the rest of the whole courtyard, we're going to split 50-50. That's the difference between Rav Huna and Rav Chisda. Says the Gemara, and with this we conclude. Hani mili, when do we say this din is only by a bayis? Why? Because the house is there. It's there forever. And therefore, Yavina lo chatzar. A bayis, a house, gets a chatzar. However, this little 4x4 house, till a mistar koi, it's going to be destroyed. It's not going to be there forever, and therefore lo yavinu lo chatzar. So if you go back to this machlekes Rav Huna and Rav Chisda, if let's say one of these little houses was less than 4x4, it would not get an area in the chatzar. So again, to review outside what we learned today, is we're continuing, we just finished explaining a brisa. This brisa started on the bottom of Gimel Amid Aleph, and it was this whole Amid, and the theme of this whole brisa was one din. If I have a little room, a little house, less than 4x4 amos, a list of halachos that this little room has. It doesn't have a mezuzah, it doesn't have a maika, etc., etc., etc. Mir Tashem, Rav Aaron, if you remember tomorrow, please shoot me a message. I'm going to try to send out a chazara of the whole Amud, so we can get really the shleimus. Today's Wednesday, and sometime between today and Monday, the chaver try to go through the Amud. I think now will be a little bit clearer.